Hi, and welcome to the Ascension Playground. This is your friend Ursie, and today I was delighted to have a conversation with a soul friend. His name is Danny Shay, and here he is. He inspired me to come out and talk a little bit more deeply around Starlight Reports. This is information based on the research that Dr. Bernadette Brady did with fixed stars going back to ancient Egypt. So, in this little chat that went long, you'll hear Danny and I talk about many things, but in particular, to look at his Starlight Report and see if we can find anything that might be of support and service. We're all living in this very unknown, tumultuous time. And so choosing to find friends and just witness it all has been one of the things I do when it comes to medicine for my soul. Hope you'll enjoy the chat and getting to know Danny Shay. See you soon.
Hey, everybody. Look what I got. I have Uma, Oprah, Ursie. I got Ursie. Are you crying? I'm sorry. I'll get your name right.
Say my name. Say my name.
So for those of you who don't know, on Dr. Gale's show, we were talking about Ursie and her star astrology, her and Anne Marie, and I had a brain fade and I couldn't remember Ursie's name. And so anyway, she's been giving me grief about this ever since. I need to turn on the light ever since. And so that was that joke just because we joke around. How are you?
Good. Sometimes I forget my name too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know.
I think I'm meant to be like invisible, but you could remember the Ascension Playground, so that was pretty extraordinary. Like those are more words than just once.
You're right. You're right. So it does. Yeah, you're right. I don't understand it, which is why I'm kind of went with you. This was really cool what you offered to my viewers. That was very generous, very kind. And as soon as you did that, I said, let's do a show so that they can see what they're getting, what they're missing, whatever. It's pretty awesome what you do. Because you do. So we met, we met like 3 years ago. And you were just getting into starseed astrology. Is that right?
That's what it was called at the beginning. You're right. Yeah. Good memory there. Yeah.
See, I can remember that, but I still can't remember your name. And that was fascinating to me. I had my report done with Anne Marie at Imology, and it was like, whoa, look at that. And so it was totally different than regular old astrology. It like took it to a different level of, I'm like, oh, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, so that's why.
That's why. And then you said that you're doing this. How long have you been doing this Starlight Report?
Well, I was introduced to Bernadette Brady's work. She's got these great books. One is called Brady's Book of Fixed Stars. And so anything with stars or cosmic or galactic, I moved toward. And so Anne Marie and I met through Robbie. Remember Robbie? And it was 3 years ago. And you helped bless the Ascension Playground. So like you and Nancy Jean, I don't know if you remember, but 3 years ago, during COVID time, you blessed this idea that we created this playground to help people lighten up about all things metaphysical. And so the weirder, the better. So Yeah, and Anne Marie, God, talk about a wonderful soul.
Oh yeah.
So smart, so giving. And yeah, so I started and then I got involved with Julia Balaz, who does, it was Starseeds Astrology, and now it is Quantum Soul Guidance.
Mm.
And now today its new version is juliabalaz.com. So, we're all part of this evolutionary stage, but the stars, how to see yourself from a cosmic lens. And Danny, I don't know if you look at that James Webb telescope, but all those images coming back, it's like, whoa. you know? So the
I know.
technology, right?
Yeah, I look at some of those images and I go, "Are you my mommy?" They are alive. I mean, it really feels, you can feel the energy with those images coming back. And I go, "Oh, that's so cool." And we met early on. We were talking about Shasta because you did the
Stargate.
Alcazar
Yeah,
Stargate.
Stargate experience. Remember you knocked on their door, but they were full or something like that?
They
They
opened
wouldn't
up the
let you
little
in.
slide and they go, "Ring the bell," and they closed it and there was no bell. So yeah, no, they wouldn't let me in. And now they moved. They're now in, I don't know where they are. They
Yeah,
moved
they're global. They're
globally.
moving and going to places like you wouldn't believe. So, but that
Right.
whole idea of Alcazar and channeling, you probably did Abraham and Seth in the
I
early
did.
days, and
Yes.
then Lee Carroll, perhaps with Cryon.
Well, that's my first experience going up to Shasta was Lee was, and this was during COVID, and um, I paid for a seminar that I couldn't go to, so it was just online. And so
Wow.
I'm listening to Lee Carroll talk about Lemurians, and I'm going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he goes, well, this is the description of them. And I'm going, it's, what is it in your mind? Just this description? And he's talking about big, tall people with long hair, and they're really skinny and beautiful. And I go, okay, well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So how do you, and whatever. And I look out my window, and here is this. She looked like she was 7 feet tall, really skinny, blonde, with a daughter. And she's walking in front of my van, and I'm like, Lee Carroll was just talking about you. And so I went to go try to find her after that, and I couldn't find her. She, I don't know where she went.
Wow.
It was, and I'm like, oh, that's okay.
That's wild. That probably shook you. Well, geography has an important part, but also your personal vibration. You could be standing next to someone else and they wouldn't see her. So your vibration, from what I understand, has to be at a certain level. Like what channel are you on? Like if someone next to you is like on a different station, they just can't see it. Like a
Yeah,
spaceship comes and you just can't see it, but the other person can.
right.
So how fascinating to have that revealed to
I
you
think, yeah. But
synchronistically. Yeah.
and it was weird because my channel was one of doubt. So it wasn't a higher vibration. I'm going, oh, come on. Really? Really? Is that what you're saying? Oh, come on. Ooh. So that was
Yeah,
weird.
it took that experience to shift you, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
the same way. Like I got poked a couple times and it's like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I don't need to see it. I can just poke me and I'm okay."
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Enough of this chit chat.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, I mean, as we evolve with all of this and we get poked and we open up and we see things from different lenses. So you gave me this report after I begged you, right?
Oh, yes. Starlight Report. Isn't that
And
just a cool term?
right, it is. And it was way different than the Anne Marie report that I got. So talk about this, because this is really cool. I mean, it's just another way to look at things. This
Yeah.
is really cool.
Well, first, can I say everything Anne Marie shared with you is perfect and valid. It's
Yes.
just when we think about who we are not like one dimensional. So we are like the blind men with the elephant. So I'm looking at the tail, and I'm going to tell you through the starlight. I'm thinking it's the tail. You know, be holding on to the tail and going, Danny, this is what your Starlight Report says
And be
about
careful
you.
what you step in as you walk.
I'm going to make sure it's the tail. Okay. But what Anne Marie was looking at, she was probably looking at the tusk or the trunk. So, we're
Yeah.
looking at it from different places, and you could talk to 100 astrologers, and oftentimes there'll be variants, but oftentimes too, there'll be a common denominator. So let's see if what Anne Marie shared with you through what she gave through a report through Julia Balaz using a calculator that's looking at your connections to soul, where you've been. This Starlight Report is connected to the ancient Egyptians. So I don't know if you've gone Egyptian or not in, in your how you rock, but when they go back several thousands of years ago, and this is what Dr. Bernadette Brady did. I mean, she based her research on what they were looking at. And when you think 3,000 years ago, a baby is born, let's say little Danny, and imagine taking a snapshot. And from that moment of birth, they look and go, oh, what star is rising and which star is setting? And where are the other stars? Because in astrology, if you've studied Western astrology, they're just using one star, they're using the sun. But in the Starlight Report, we're looking at how to engage with these other living beings that are gifting us with either challenge or ease. And so it kind of helps us see, what was the moment of Danny's birth? What were those two important stars? And so if you get a free report from me, read the first two stars and pause there because the rest can get a little bit much.
Let me go back. So the two stars, that is the one that's rising and the one that's setting. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So here's the astrological wheel behind my head. And look, if I move over, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Oh, he might even have the same shirt on. Nope, a little different. Same guy.
Oh my
Same
God.
glasses.
That may be the same shirt.
This is all you, Danny, in the wheel. The wheel of time, the moment of your physical incarnation. We put Danny in the middle. And then we have these houses, right? So in astrology, who is coming up from that underworld? See, I'm going up. This arrow is going up, 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 up. There was a star named Aldebaran. But then down from the heavens, here's the heavens. Boop, 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 boop. There was Arcturus. So we would say the two stars that are with you, like spirit guides, based on the Egyptians, those ancient Egyptians, who I believe were connected, of course, to Atlantis, and then, of course, to Lemuria, and then before time began. But here we go. We're just playing star story, and this is non-linear. This is not rational. This is energetic. This is more right brain. This is that creative side to you, Danny. So a royal star, really, Aldebaran, the bull. In fact, it's the bull's eye, like royal, is sitting on one of your shoulders. And see how I put this arrow? It's coming up from your ancestors. It's coming up.
So let me back up just a wee bit because you talk about the underworld,
Yep.
and a lot of times people will look at the underworld as dark and scary. But from what I'm reading in this report, which I just got last night, and you have two great videos on it that you just put up, so thank you for that. But when I my first read of this report, the underworld is not a dark place at all. It's a place of your ancestors. Am I reading
It's
right?
Egyptian. It's Egyptian, right? So we're going back into that time frame of this idea that the soul, goes back. And so your ancestors are with you, but they're giving you this gift. So you're right. It's how we hold space for it. Because it's just kind of a story about who's here to help me? And it's your ancestors, not just biological in a certain way, right? Your star ancestors.
Yeah.
But for someone to be born with a royal star, Aldebaran, which is a watcher of the East. Now, I know you're a surfer, so you know when the sun rises. No, okay, you're a paddler.
I'm a diver.
Oh, you're a diver. Oh, I'm just a walker. I just kind of splash the edge, but you're a deep diver. Okay. So Aldebaran, so having a royal star, people are thinking, like this goes Babylonian times, that there's 4 stars that hold up the heavens to create this whole 3D incarnation. And you have one of the 4 royal stars of the bull engaged with you on your, let's just say your shoulder, like Jiminy Cricket, right? So you've got a royal star and you have an Arcturus star. And so just this idea that in your lifetime, when you look way back, Aldebaran is saying, Archangel Michael. I'm not sure if Michael's been someone that you engage with, but this royal star brings in the energy of Michael, the protector, the leader, the one that you call in to cut the cords. But it's asking and giving you this idea of, Danny, stick with your integrity and your principles. Even though the collective might say, hey, you're going to make more money if you come over here, or you're going to get more fame if you start talking about so and so, but if you stay with what your heart chakra says, this is truth, you stay with that, your ancestors are like going, yeah, okay. The bull, the whole idea of the amazing bull.
Wow.
I know, right? So that's your ancestors are saying, and this is from the moment of birth. So some would say, oh, how lucky. And I'm saying, oh man, you've been tested. I mean, when you ever have a royal star show up and the testing is really intense, typically in childhood and young adulthood, and sometimes more, but it's always asking you to stay in integrity. Do you know who you are? And
no.
well, but then you're truthful about it, right? So it's like, hey, this is what I know to be true in this moment, right?
Yeah.
So the underworld is like, ugh. And then let's pretend there's Mount Olympus on the top of the celestial heavens, and the gods, let's say Zeus, granted you this other star that was in the moment of your birth at the descendant, and it's Arcturus. And so you've heard of Arcturian star seeds, right? Yes. So I pulled this picture from Vashta.com, the blue, the indigo people.
Yes.
But the story of Arcturus is really the pathfinder. And it's the one that got kicked out of the family tribe. Like the father dies and the siblings say, oh no, you're not with us anymore. We're hunters. So you're out. And that usually meant for a hunter society that you would die. Instead, you have to find a new way to survive. And so Arcturus is typically associated with farming because it went from hunters to farmers. But today, it's probably a new path forward. Your whole channel is about sharing a different way, having that conversation around there's got to be more. We see the politics, we hear the chaos, we experience it, but can you tell us a different way? And so this new path forward with Archangel Michael, so you got Aldebaran and Arcturus, it's like, wow, you were set in motion to do things that weren't normal. You're definitely the non-normal.
Yes, I would agree.
Let me see that. Look at that little smile there.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's 2 stars, and then
later. Could you do psychic ducks chart?
Only, do they have a birth date and time? They probably have a production time and location. Huh?
Well, the thing with psychic duck is, you're thinking linearly. There is no birth. There is no ending. Okay, sorry. I just had to be a little abnormal there.
Yeah, and guess what? In this idea that we're really trying to merge our 3D self with our higher self, and we're pretending to be separated. Well, the minute you popped out of your mom, it's how we play this game of the wheel. This is how this wheel plays. But psychic duck is a whole nother level. So
All right. So that's okay.
That's kind of how does it sit with you to when you look at the whole of your life? I mean, was being in integrity and doing what you felt to be
Yeah,
true, going outside the norm?
huge part, huge part. And even today, it's I'm rebirthing that part of it. However, it's always been about integrity. And even when I strayed away from it and said I just need to make money, for example, um, it didn't work. And so when I went back into helping and finding integrity in what I was doing, then I became successful. So it was kind of weird. If I stopped thinking about I got to just make money as somebody in a job, um, it didn't work as well as letting that go and focusing on other people.
It's interesting because in your Starlight report, it does say that you will be periodically throughout the life tempted to move outside of integrity and honor, to chase after other things. It's like the devil with Christ on the mount. And so it's like, I'll give you all this. Just bow to me, So it's interesting that that did show up in your life, but success will only come if you really work on ethical integrity and it
Mm-hmm.
matches your behavior. And it's really hard to do because we sometimes sell ourselves short, so to speak, in the
Yeah.
smaller things, and it's just a process of you're being asked to come up to a higher standard and find a new path that then you share with other people. And when you think about your YouTube channel here, it is a different vibration, and your fan group is huge. And so there is this
They're the
resonant
best.
frequency of show us another way, Danny. Like, what else could we be thinking about here?
Well, and it's interesting because for me, and this started probably when Medium Kim said, "You got ETs around you," and I went, "What?" I went, "What?" And then I go, "Okay, that's okay." And then I met Dr. Gale, and I went, "What?" And it's kind of like, and from all of that, it's like there's so much out there. And if I just keep saying, well, that doesn't exist, I am not opening up to 90% of what is available. And politics really interests me. It really does. I mean, it fascinates me. I love reading the cards on it, but there's so much more out there.
Well,
Which,
you do have another card that comes up, or another star that is on one of the angles. So you have those two predominant stars, but then you have this whale star that comes next, and that's on page 5 of 22 of your Starlight report.
page 5,
It's
22.
it's the whale, and the star's name is Menkar. So Menkar, in fact, today I checked the chart for today, and there is the tail of the whale that's flapping around, helping you and I with our chat. And the tail of the whale slapping the water is basically letting other whales know, here I am. So that's the energetic of today. Here I am. But you happen to have a whale star, and it's the metaphor for Menkar, according to Bernadette, is to be a leaf in the wind. Remember that song? To be a leaf in the wind. Maybe that was dust in the wind. Glory, fame, infamy, or oblivion. So, what shall you choose? Oblivion or wind, glory, and fame? So, but it's connection to the collective, because that whale used to be called a sea monster. It was the one coming to eat Andromeda, who was chained to the rock. So today we soften it and say it's a whale, but it really means the sea monster, who's a representative of all our collective fears. So when you talk about politics, this is part of your star chart to basically tune into the depths, all that stuff, all that subconscious collective stuff.
Yeah.
So for the faint hearted, forget about it. But it's how you rock with those kind of like, that Jungian, all the dream stuff. Who else sees tall beings in Shasta? There's probably for the population, probably less than 1%, but you did. And the timing of it needs to be really like, okay, perfect timing. Thank you. I was ready. Because
Yeah.
the alien word feels like it's outside me. And these star reports basically say it's not outside me, it's in me, it's part of me.
Yeah.
We're part of all that is. This is a part that I can maybe sit with. Because, Danny, I think we're being asked to go from polarity consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
us versus them. That's the
Yeah.
politics,
Yep.
the big fighting,
Yep.
and move now toward galactic awareness that if we can just get above it and see that we're part of it all, and
Yeah.
it's an inner dilemma as much as it is an outer dilemma, like, how do we go forward? And I think you're the pathfinder that's going to be like, hey, try this over here. Let me pull a card kind of thing.
We pull a card on that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This whale, Nancy Jean. She has an elemental, a tree that she calls Hogarth, and she talks to this tree. Okay, so we're getting out there in crazy land right now. So this woman's talking to a tree, and she goes, Danny, you have elementals on your property, which I know I do. I talk to the four directions, and she goes, and more. And I go, okay. She goes, but you pass by this particular elemental, and it wants to acknowledge you. And so I go, is it this? Is it that? So I'm looking, and I look down at the ground. I go, oh, here is this, from what my perspective, this lion face. And I go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I look down the next day, and I see a tree root shaped as a whale. I swear, I'll send you the picture. I swear, it's like,
you can't make it up. It's like you leave yourself little breadcrumbs of truth. And gotta love Nancy Jean. I mean, we're tapping into this quantum experience, and we're bringing back archetypal and metaphoric energies. It's like it's not linear. It's like a riddle. It's the Sphinx talking to us like in a riddle. So that lion is typically in constellation spiel is usually connected to the feline people of Lyra.
Yep.
So, where the galactic heritage cards teach us that this is how we kind of began our journey, is everyone we began in Lyra and then split with the male and the female and blah, 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 and then colonized. So the whale, I love that. So the leaf in the wind, that's a tree association.
Yes, it is.
And then the whale.
In a way.
But you brought up a point. I don't want to talk about all your stars, but my God, you have the shaman star twice in your Starlight Report. And tell me about that. Like just finding out that Deneb Adige, the tail of the swan, it's really the birth canal of the
page,
swan.
What page? What page are you on?
I didn't print it all out. I printed out like the first 5 or 6 pages, but I didn't want to kill a tree. You'll find it. Deneb Adige. It's
I did see it. It's towards the end. And so the way that this is broken down, before I get there, it's like the beginning, the middle, and the ending of your life. So, and when I say that, there's like, I hear myself saying there's a caution there because you're now thinking linearly, like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you're not thinking quantum-ish. So just be careful with that beginning, middle, and end because...
Yeah. Well, we are in 3D having a human experience. And so there is this physical biology and a timeline. So when we are in 3D, the way the Starlight Reports share, there are these quadrants, you're right. And so you'll see the stars of your youth don't stop there, but just reflect back on your youth. Like, did those star energies show up? And how did they show up? And sometimes it gets us out of victim consciousness. It's like, oh, I prescribed for this experience to happen. Free will dictated how intense that experience was to be or not. But when you get to the stars of your later year, your adulthood, and then later life, I think you and I are in that later life.
No, not me.
But the fun one is the Hearthstone stars.
Wait. I got to.
I just skipped over that.
Yeah, I got to back up. Because you said something that was, well, that just went, ooh, that's
ooh.
really good. She's
hit a spot.
Dang, she's smart. That's
No,
what.
hit a spot. What spot did I hit?
So
The
you
tail?
said when you go back and you look at your beginning star energies, and you go, oh, I brought that in. This was part of my soul contract that I brought in. How it affects me is based on my free will, how I deal with that energy. Do I make it worse or do I make it easier? Do I make it harder or easier?
Yeah. And it's for the other people who show up, their free will. Some people go off script. Sometimes we go off script.
We are going off script right now.
What script? So, yeah, this idea that, it's part of galactic consciousness moving us out of the victim and who perpetrated. And believe me, really bad things have happened. And it's not to diminish any of that. But when you read your Starlight Report, it's almost like, man, I must have really wanted to expand my, what was I thinking? First of all, I really must have wanted to expand to have that mother or that father or that creepy uncle, all kinds of stuff happens. And yet when we read the Starlight, it's like, okay, it's a story, but where am I at? And so, the Hearthstone stars. Let me just jump to the very end. I'm just going to.
I thought you wanted
I read the end first. It's like
I thought you wanted me to talk about the shaman stuff.
Oh yeah, Hearthstone is how you're going to be remembered. I mean, for some of us who might care, like I might be remembered as what, like, huh? Are they going to remember my name? Huh? I'm so they don't remember me. Oh well, they might remember the Ascension Playground. So.
Of course they will.
So YouTube takes that down.
Uma, no, really.
Sounds like
Oprah.
I saw you look it up on your phone.
All right.
Fade or fart, a gap. You had a gap moment. Anyway, so let's go to your shaman star. Like, this is the one. Like, what does that mean to you, the word shaman?
Well, this is kind of weird because it's in my later years.
Which you're in. It's the third phase of life.
I'm getting to.
Aren't you retired?
I'm just starting all over again.
You're working too hard to be retired.
Yeah, you think. So I was thinking about this morning when I do my morning meditations, and I thank my ancestors for showing up a lot every morning, and my shaman guides. And today I thank them for writing. One of my shaman guides wrote a book, and that's how I got introduced to shamanism, through this book. And somebody lent it to me and said, you can't keep it, you have to give it back. I still have it. No, I don't. I gave it back. I read
integrity.
I read that, and I'm not much of a reader because my eyes are wonky, but I read that book in about a week, which is really unusual for me because I don't read because my eyes are wonky. So, but to have two of them, it was like, whoa, okay. I mean, it's a huge part of my later years, my younger years that I'm in now.
Oh, I love how a shaman does not usually walk straight, right? It's typically, this is just a little bit that I know, you go backwards and under and around. You go the opposite of what you normally would want to do. Instead of like going up and out, you go down and around, and that tree is involved, so it's
Oh yeah, that
like
tree.
so, but a double shaman, in a sense of where are you guiding? And it really dovetails nicely. And I did a picture for you because you may not read your whole star chart, so this is really for you, a pictograph.
Oh,
So Arcturus is the pathfinder. So a shaman with a different kind of path, so it's not like shamans of old. I think you're bringing us in a different path to go forward with this heart of integrity. So I think when people resonate with you or they see you and hear you laughing and chortling, it's coming from a good. So you got the whale, you've got Archangel Michael, you've got Arcturus. There's another star here. Oh my, Zubinescamali.
oh yeah,
They have these.
Zubinescamali. Oh yeah.
I mean, it makes me want to go put a turban on and stick a diadem right here. So this is the northern pan. So there's two pans, and you've got the northern one. So this idea of social reform, page 6, Danny, um,
Thank
a
you.
community leader. So here we are on Danny Shay Tarot, community leadership. And I just love that. So when this word called the archetype is a person who strives for power, I would say sit with this idea of knowing the power that you have intuitively and knowingly, and you're a powerful being, and I love that, so this is how we kind of sense and tune into your energy of shaman, powerful. And there's a new path out of this chaos that seemingly is all around us, but astrologically was, we were watching for it, and here it is. Yeah.
Mm,
Ah.
mm. I don't know how to respond to some of this.
Okay, well, before you start thinking too much, I would like to talk about your destiny cards, just because I looked at this other,
good.
I have this dashboard and I'm like, okay, I see him through the starlight, but let me go look at his destiny cards based on the work of Robert Lee Camp. Can I share, Danny?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, okay, in the playing deck of cards, would you like to know which cards you are? There's actually two that are the strongest for you.
Is it a bull?
There's no bull in the playing cards.
Okay.
There's king, queen, jack, joker.
Okay.
Okay. So your predominant, this is just metaphoric, destiny card for this lifetime, born on the day that you were born. So everyone born on that date, not the year, but the day, the month, and the day, is a 6 of clubs.
Mm.
So clubs is someone who loves knowledge. They just like, I gotta have it. You might not read the books, but you're going to surround yourself with things that you can reach for. Now we're looking at card decks because those are easy reading, right? It's like, here's a picture, here's a picture. But it's the missionary card, Danny. So you're on this mission. It's not the position, it's the missionary card that goes out to show a new path.
Why did you go there?
In there, didn't I? Just slipped it in there and I kept going. The missionary card, it means you have a special life purpose. Like Forrest Gump, what's my purpose? Well, you've got a special life purpose. And that's what the 6 of clubs means. It's phenomenal. Would you like to know your second card?
Yes, please.
Well, first of all, they're telling me, because I'm hearing 6, the number 6, before it is 5, and 5 is the last earth card. So 6 jumps into the spiritual realms.
Mm.
So a 6 of clubs, meaning someone who's really focused on this idea of knowledge. There is karma involved, but it's like, okay, I'm moving into the spiritual realm. So that jump into quantum, perfectly you. And the second card, drum roll, the 8 of hearts.
Oh.
And so hearts is so lovey-dovey, full. I can feel it. And they call it the love magic engine card.
And we're not talking about the missionary card anymore, are we?
Well, it's a composite. You got the missionary card and then the love magic engine. And a lot of times actors and actresses have this card. Funny enough, right?
Hmm.
Strong intuition, discovery. I don't know how you can make sense of all these little archetypes, but isn't that interesting?
They all just,
You know,
yeah,
we're just knitting, all
yeah.
these pieces of Danny, or I should say painting. We're painting your portrait. Here we
Painting.
go. There's his nose.
In quantum,
Love magic engine. Oh,
and the eight. So the eight you were talking about in your video. I'm going to switch this to you now.
okay.
So in your video, when you're looking at your star report, your Starlight report, and I only got to the very beginning because, well,
It
here
just
we
went
are.
up. Yep.
I will finish it. You did 2 videos on it. I was
And there's
going,
a
oh,
third coming.
video. That's so good. I'm going to go watch it. And then I go, oh, there's another one that's playing.
There'll be a third. So then that'll be basta. That's it.
Okay. But the very first thing that you talked about was the snake on you.
Yep.
The snake. And from a shaman perspective, that's all about rebirth. So I don't know if, because we're not doing linear stuff, this is the way that they interpret it, but other things. And you are constantly rebirthing yourself, coming up with new things.
I have the same name and I have the same YouTube name. So there is this shedding. For me, it's shedding the fear of what other people think of me. And it's taken a many decades to.
You're shedding that.
I just don't really care that much. I'm just going to have my joy. And it limited me from being able to come out and speak.
Yep.
And the response that if you share your truth, like the response from others when it rings true from the heart, it's not trying to sell anything or get people, aggravated or whatever. It's truly this inquisition and the snake. Yeah, at first I went, oh, great, intense emotional encounters. But that's what I paint about. That's what I watch all those housewife stories on TV. Like, oh, is this scripted or not? But see, I love the Sturm und Drang. I don't like to flatline life. I like to ooh, what's she going to get out of that one? Or, oh, he really is seeing someone else. Oh, those from my ancestors, right? Because are you alive? Feeling alive through intense emotional encounters?
But a lot of the snake is, because it goes into a figure 8-ish many times. And you said the 8 of hearts, and I thought about the snake, especially in one of my decks where I have the wild unknown. They use a lot of that snake energy imagery, and it's always in a figure 8 where it's rebirthing itself. It's like it's just, and it's cyclical.
Yeah, it's this idea of, and Nancy Jean talks about the number 8. See, I'm moving out of this as the infinity, and you turn it on its side. So it is actually a creator kind of energy. So when you see snake, the snake has the belly on the earth. So it is connected to Mother Earth and the divine feminine.
And it slithers up the tree of life.
Yes. And in some paintings, the head is female and represents Lilith, Adam's first wife, who did not want to be subordinate to anybody. Think about that for a minute. So the snake knows who she is, or it is, or we is, they is.
They, them, Shem.
But to hold snake energy and then shaman. So going back to you, what does the whale mean in a shaman's view for you? Because this energy, because it's on one of your angles, it's with you the whole time.
So there's a hue of whale with me. It's just there's so much. It's about the knowledge, the playfulness, the it's almost like the forgiveness. I mean, they were almost hunted to extinction, and yet they still don't seem like they're going to attack us, even though there are some instances of quit putting up these windmills, and they come like hit boats and things like that. But um, they're so gentle. They're such giants. What do they mean as far as shamans? I mean, it's to me, I just see them as star beings.
Yeah. In fact, what's coming up for me is in 1987. I'm not sure where you were, Danny, but that whole harmonic convergence, Nostradamus was showing us the end of the world, but I understand it metaphysically that the whales and the dolphins sonically help humanity push us over into this, turn over here to the age of light. Well, let's see. For your starlight, then, to be able to tap into Menkar, just knowing that you know the name of the star that is associated with the whales and associated with you energetically on a really deep level. So it's the archetype of whale energy representing that collective unconscious, so think Jungian, the dream time, like the subconscious, but it's for the collective though. So it's interesting how like whales aren't typically solo, but they are in pods. I think that's what you say, but yeah. So you've got a whale, you've got a bullseye with Archangel Michael, and you also have this Arcturian very strong. Now, the Arcturians, I could go off on that tangent if you want, but oh my God, that's the light. They say, go to the light, when you're about ready to die. But it's also the light that kisses us at birth. So at the moment of your birth, you had a real strong, I don't know if your mom saw the light or something, but like, so Arcturian light, when you see 11, for me, I always hold that that's the portal. The Arcturians are reminding me, like, okay, it's light. And Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon, and there's a woman in Germany who channels Cryon too. And that's fine because it's just this collective energy.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the Arcturians were part of our genesis. I mean, they're
right.
the human story and they wish us well. They might look different than us, but it's like, no, they're like our grandparents.
Yeah.
They're with you, Danny. I mean, they're helping you like, navigate, keep going. You're showing the path that could help others.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's all you.
I don't know if it's all me, it's all them.
Those tall beings, though, did you associate them with which? Is it Talos or Lemurian? Or, I mean, I know those are just words.
He was saying that it was the Lemurians. He was talking about the Lemurians and what they look like, and then she shows up. So in my other meditations, in my visitations up in Shasta, I've seen things that they're galactic beings. They're Lemurians. They're guides. I have stories that we can talk about at another time, but it's fascinating, the interconnectedness of it, and just because I see it, and then I go, "Oh, that was really weird," and then somebody else actually draws what I see from a different area completely. I'm like, how did that happen? And so it's this one. I like the way that you explained the 1-1 portal, and when we're seeing these repeating numbers, because I did a video that was all about repeating numbers, and I wasn't going to do it, but I kept getting all of these synchronicities on this one day last week, and this I get an email from this person that says, "Oh my God, did you feel something at 11:11? It felt big. Did you feel?" And it's like we've never talked. She just sent me this email, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I need to talk about this." I don't know what I was talking about so much, except it was the synchronicities of it,
Mhm.
and it's going through that portal. It's being told that we are waking up into a new, hopefully a new collective, under a new rule that we are all intraconnected, and that what we do affects us and everybody else around us.
Love that. It's just affirmation after affirmation.
Affirmation after affirmation.
And there's so much love. The more you get to know the star stories, when you get beyond the fear of, oh, they don't look like me, there's so much love
Yeah.
available. And so if they're star families and they're coming from your ancestors or from the celestial heavens, if it's already part of you, there really isn't anything to fear other than, holding the energy. And when you're ready, that love is there, but it requires an invitation, as you know. There's that whole galactic non-interference
Mhm.
thing but I think in this time where we're in this photonic light belt now, Danny, that we're going to start hearing and seeing and knowing and dreaming in a different way. So when that shows up, just kind of like go with the flow and listen to
Yeah.
Danny talk about it's okay. He's seen stuff too. When you start channeling in light language, it's okay. We know that's not serpent talk.
So
Anything that's different's not the devil. So
yeah,
it's okay. They're
do you do
family.
I
We
which
all have weird family, but you know,
I don't have a weird family. Thank
well,
you.
when you start going back far enough. And I like
So
what Dr. Gale said too when she talked about Lemurians. It was this idea of energy and then trying to move into the physical, and energy and trying to move into the physical. And I think I found one planet that might be missing that the two planets that she mentioned in a half. I know that Vulcan is one planet that's supposed to be the ruler of Virgo, double Virgo. So Vulcan is definitely one of those planets, I believe, that she was thinking, what does
yeah,
that mean?
yeah. And I a lot of the times when we try to compartmentalize it and figure it out, then we get stuck on, you know, hmm, Vulcan. It means,
No, what is it?
yeah. What is this? I don't even know how to do that. Um, However, just asking the question, what does that, and then just let it happen. Just see where it
Yeah.
goes. And as long as you stay in the light, you stay in integrity, as what you're saying, and
And
not
love.
go
Yeah.
down the negative dark rabbit hole, which we can very easily in politics. You'll be, it's all safe. It's all good.
Yeah, it's part of the wonder of it all. It's really, I
Part
know
of the wander
the
or
wonder,
wonder. I
the
like wonder.
wonder of it all, that wonderful good life. But the old paradigm of Pisces was, set our protection, say our protection prayers. When you go into quantum, it is more about alignment, like get in alignment. Because when you're in alignment with your own higher
Hmm.
self, and your star families or higher self and all this funny stories of separation, that's where where I find sanctuary. It's get in alignment, get in alignment. I mean, stuff is going to be upside down. It's like get in alignment, but it's so that we move more galactically aware and move into much more super consciousness.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of words. I would just say, keep laughing, keep exploring. I mean, my God, you've got an Arcturus and you've got a bull and you've got a whale. I mean, and then you've got a double shaman and you've got more. But if anyone else does want a Starlight Report, I'll keep doing it until my eyes get a little tired or I have to have to put an end to it. So if they say sent by Danny, just need the birth date, time, and location, and you can send it to the Ascension Playground at gmail.com.
Yeah, and I'll put your email down there. So if they get this far in the video, then they get a free report. And if they don't, if they click off too early, you lose.
They're probably sleeping by now. Well, every 3 years I get to say hi to you.
Well, maybe we should like shorten that.
Well,
Let's
I'm
set
back.
another
I'm
date
game for
next
talking
year.
about anything galactic.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll do this again because this was a blast, and there's so much more to explore, and we won't have to like talk about me because that makes me.
But there's so much more. There's so many more stars.
You go, is it okay to talk about it? I'm looking at this. I'm going, yeah, there's nothing weird in here. And then you start talking. I go, oh, okay. Now I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable. This is
well, there's a term called open kimono. So when you see your Starlight Report,
woo,
you can like open the kimono and go, ah,
wow. All right, this has been a blast. Thank you, everybody, for sticking by. Thank you, Ursie, for coming on. This has been and offering the Starlight Report. That is awesome. Thank you so much.
See you next time.
All right, bye, everybody. Peace and love.